Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pink Sock Podcast. I am your host, Mike Pink Sock Usnick. I've always wanted to say that. And I am joined by Adam, the Doof Warrior Garak. If you smell what the Garak is cooking. Today, we're joined by Jeff Towers. He has a very lengthy resume.
Bigger than mine.
He's been a production assistant, a local assistant, a runner, and drum tech for a lot of people. Iron Maiden, Rolling Stones, Kiss, Joan Jett, Cheech and Chong, if you're a stoner, Larry the Cable Guy, a lot of people. So I can't wait to dive into this conversation. I know you can't. And if you want to find Jeff Towers on social media, you can find him at Jeff Towers YYC or Bad Habits YYC, which is his punk rock band. Without further ado, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. He climbs to the top of the tower, Jeff Towers.
Tried to do a grand entrance there. I don't know if it worked. You see that?
All I saw was you go.
I was trying to do it, and I didn't do it quick enough. I'll try. Okay, ready? We'll try it again. Ready?
Yeah, let's start it again. Hold on. Jeff Towers.
Hey, everybody.
I think you nailed it that time.
That was better. That's a keeper. We'll keep that one.
All right. Woo! Okay. Welcome to Pink Sock Podcast. Finally.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we was actually introduced by Ryan Roxy. So
yes.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan Roxy. The Roxy.
So today's podcast is brought to you by Voice It TV. Ryan Roxy himself, he's a big part of helping us get the word out there. And we're also not yet promoted by, but soon enough, Catfight Coffee, AC Slade. So let's dive into it. You're a Sigourney Weaver fan.
Yes, I'm a Sigourney Weaver fan. Yes, that's a yes.
You love the Danzig?
You know, Danzig, I feel, is really underrated.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many sides of Danzig that I think get overlooked, and what people really focus on is the one punch knockout that happened in the backstage area.
I was going to bring that up.
Or the fact that Sigourney Weaver and him are actually the same person. And I think what everybody needs to realize that guy is still a badass motherfucker.
Yes, even though he gets knocked out, he's bad.
Man, the other thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is he's not a very tall dude. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to get knocked out. It happens. I mean, if I got hit in the head like that, I'd be knocked out too. Like anybody would be knocked out.
If I was that short, though, I wouldn't try to start fights.
That's true. I'm not a fighter at all. So, I mean, I'm more of one of those fleers. If there's a fight going down, I'm out.
You're like, fuck this, I'm out. Even if you're involved in the fight, you're like, see ya.
I'll start it and I will run.
Oh, so you're one of those people that talk shit from afar. You're like, bring it on, bitch, and then run away.
No, I'm not really a talk shitter kind of guy. I'll mutter. I'm a mutter shitter. A mutter shitter.
A mutter shitter?
Under your breath, you were like, oh,
motherfucker. You talk shit like Ozzy Osbourne. Motherfucker.
That's different. See, that's not shit talking, because shit talking is like direct. This is like, it's kind of shy. It's shy talking. Have you
ever been caught talking shit though like that? You're like, you motherfucker, and they're like, what'd you say? Nothing.
No, never.
Oh shit!
Gotta be smart, man. Gotta be smart.
So your list of people that you have worked with, I'll say worked with because you're still working with them, even if you're a assistant or local person, right?
Yeah, to be clear on my job title, it's production assistant. It is part of it, and it's a local production assistant or a local runner. And I do drum tech services for the occasional artist. The last person that I did drum tech services was Chris Swarmbrook from Poison the Well, and that was in LA. I don't do drum tech services as much as I'd like to. My main focus is production assistance and running. So people are probably wondering what production assistance is. Now, production assistance is it's not producing the show, and what you're actually doing is you're doing the day of stuff. So you're setting up dressing rooms, looking after the day to day for the artists, and you're basically a liaison for the artist. So
Oh, nice.
you get introduced and you look after them for the entire day while they're local. Yeah,
So you're a
I love it.
babysitter, but
Babysitter.
I'm a little confused about something. I'm all about details. People are probably thinking he's a local production assistant. He's from Canada, but he does work in Los Angeles. Do you have a Los Angeles,
Okay.
Canada?
There is a funny story about that. I'm also a professional drummer. So there's a trade show that happens in Los Angeles every January, except for this last January, the first one that hasn't happened in like 100 years. It's called the National Association of Music Merchants, and it's like a giant trade show. It's basically if you take Guitar Center times 5 million.
Oh shit.
Okay, that's what it is. You walk in, every single brand is on display. Everything from microphones to like DJ gear to lights to like little tiny things you can get for your guitar to keep your strap on, and all the way up to like full drum kits, the whole bit. Every brand in the musical industry that's selling musical gear is there. It's a thing that's been happening for years.
Damn.
And I happen to be down there for it. I go down. I've been there about 14 years. I go down every 2 to 3 year spread.
Is it a free open to the
go
public event, or do you have to buy
It's
tickets?
not. No, it's a professional trade show.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if like
you
it
need-
was something
you
the
need to
public
be
could buy
invited.
tickets.
No, they do a thing on Sundays. Sometimes that's open to the public, and it's like the open to the public day. But generally speaking, it's industry, and the people you're going to see there are you're going to see people that are the people that are the buyers for the shops. You're going to see the artists, and you're going to see the vendors, obviously. So each brand will have their own booth, and there'll be stuff going on. Sometimes there's signing with like artists and whatnot. Some of the
Nice.
pictures from my Instagram are actually from that, either just hanging out or just walking in and running into people that I work with. Because when I'm working a production, it's very rare that it's appropriate to take pictures. It's very
Right.
rare. It's actually shunned upon to take pictures while you're at work. And I try my hardest to be in a situation to be the most professional I can be. And this is
It's
why I
kinda
keep
like-
getting hired.
It's kind of like a friend of mine. He works for kind of a bigger name act. I'm not going to mention it because the story I tell could be traced back to him. So I'm just going to say as vague as I can. A friend of mine works for kind of a bigger name act, and he ended up having dinner and playing poker with this bigger name act. Now, when you're on work, this is personal time. When you're at work or when you're with personal time with them, no pictures. No.
Yeah.
Because you're not a fan, you're there as a business partner or a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like no pictures.
So that's a big thing. And you know what? And that's I understand it fully. Like, I mean, the first couple of times I ever did this gig, it was a situation of like, holy crap, I'm picking up so and so, and it's like I've been a fan of this person since I was a kid. Holy crap, they're gonna ride in my car
Right.
with me, just the
So,
two of us.
Do you have that
know? So, I
fanboy
mean,
moment still then? Like you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
you know what? I've had it twice this entire time that I've been doing it, and only because I get inside my head and I talk myself down in preparation for this, because there are some artists where you're like, holy crap, like
I followed these people when I was a kid, and now they're in my car.
I have their CDs, I have their tapes, and I remember watching them on MTV when I was a kid, and so there are moments where you're just like, holy crap, but it takes a little bit of focus, and you have to literally draw yourself back and go, how would I want to be treated in this moment? Because really, in this moment, it's not about me. That is the number one rule. It is never about me. It is
about them.
100% about them. And that is, I think, why I keep getting called back, is because 9 times out of 10, these people don't even know that I'm a player. The
Right.
people that do know that I'm a player really know I'm a player because we're in the same catalogs with like Mapex or Vader or Remo. And then they make the association of like, oh, I know that guy. We're in the same catalog. And then that's a whole other ball game. And when that happens, it's pretty fun.
What I've learned in like doing this podcast and stuff, they're humans. They want to be treated like humans. Like
100%.
like whenever I've met all of the guys of Alice's backing band, and like I never really have a fanboy moment. And I've been following Alice for a very long time. And I think the reason why me and Ryan became friends is because I'm an asshole. I treat him like I would anyone else. Whenever he made a post on Instagram, I'm like, damn, Kip Winger, calm down.
Kip Winger, I love it. I bet you I have so much respect and love for that guy. I've worked lots of Alice Cooper dates, and every single time, whenever it's like the first moment of running into him on the day, it's always like, hey man. It's always like a really awesome experience and really great,
And he will give you the shirt off his fucking back. Like
that entire camp. Alice too, Cheryl, Bougie. I don't know if you guys know Bougie. She's their production assistant. So the person that I would work doing these shows would be the production assistant from the tour, and I would be the local. So basically, I would be like a link between the two of them. So like I'm the local person, they're the touring person, and we basically link up and do everything together for the day. So all the communication, they give me all the stock stuff that they need. I get a cash flow from them, and do the shop and all this stuff like that, and set up the dressing room as they are kind of sort of directing, and we both work together as a team. So for that one day, I am considered part of their crew. It's different than any other situation that you run into on a show. Like the people that are setting up the stage and whatnot, local crew, those people aren't considered part of the crew that day. They're like local, hardcore local line. And then there's the production assistants that are local, and then there's the runners. And those two people, sometimes it's more than two people. Those people are basically enveloped into the tour for that day. So we have access passes for everything. We hear things that we probably shouldn't. They treat us literally like we are part of the crew. And then when it's multiple dates, and we do like when a band comes to Alberta, and they do like Calgary and Red Deer and Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, and I do most of those dates, after day one, we're already friends. We're already solid. The rest of the days are gravy. They become fun. They become exciting and memorable. And little things start to happen. Little stories pop up and memories pop up. It's beautiful. It's really awesome.
I've noticed about the Alice camp, because I have met Alice a few times, they don't treat you like a fan. They don't treat you like a worker. They treat you like family.
You're like a human. Yeah. You're human and family.
Yeah. And it's cool as hell. There is one thing that I noticed looking at your resume that it kind of gave me a headache, because I'm like, that's got to be like a hard gig. Was you drum tech for Def Leppard?
I had never drum tech for Def Leppard, no. But you know what?
Okay. I heard that's a hard job. I had a friend that did it.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Like a lot of people don't realize how much electronics are actually involved with Regalin's setup, and
plus all those pedals. He has one arm. He makes up for it with pedals.
Oh yeah, it's all electronic pedals hooked up to sound samples and whatnot. Yeah, that setup is pretty insane. And the people that camp is one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. Sinead is the production assistant at that camp, and I work with her lots. In fact, one of the dates, it was Adrian's birthday and Joe's birthday.
Oh shit!
So
they have the same birthday.
They were within 2 days, and they had a day off between, so they celebrated the two birthdays on one day, and it was a show day, and the show day was Calgary.
Oh shit!
So I had to buy cakes. So, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the job. Hey, Jeff, we got a birthday on the tour today, so we need to get a cake done. So I go, well, what do you want on the cake? What kind of cake do you want? And then we sort it all out. I'll give you 3 examples of crazy cakes. They're all on my Instagram. One of them was for Eric Church, one of his production assistants. They call her the Black Empress or something. Mm-hmm. So they wanted an all black cake with just red lettering that looked like blood, that just said like the Black Empress or whatever, happy birthday.
That'd be a killer.
I thought that one was pretty good.
That'd be a killer professional. That'd be a killer professional wrestling name.
Too. Oh, I've worked professional wrestling too. I could tell you stories about professional wrestling.
Since you have so much to talk about, can we just do multiple parts of this over time?
Sure, man. I'm down. We can do like a monthly thing, whatever you want. You let me know. We can break it up. We can break it
because
up. Because
I just love talking music and having more people to talk to. So you're more than welcome on the show whenever.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
That's why I made the show. Just to
I don't get to talk about this stuff very often because most of the time we're not supposed to. And I've kind of, with this time that's been off, because I've technically been off productions. Like my last show was March last year, and that was Black Label Society. So Black Label Society was my last show. We didn't know we were going to get locked down at that time. It was in March. I think it was March 8th or something like that. And actually at that show, it was like it felt like a calm before the storm. We knew something was going to happen. We didn't know what yet. And then I left to do my.
You said this was March?
Tour. Yeah, March.
So that was around the time when we started hearing about the virus, and the president was coming on television and like, it's nothing. Don't worry, it'll go away tomorrow.
That guy is such a clown. I can't even believe it.
Let me tell you.
Here's the crazy thing, that going back a little bit here, the trade show happens in January. 90% of the companies are based in China. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. Jesus. January. So this is when all of that crazy stuff was going on in China that we didn't know about yet.
Didn't it start in November, December?
Show. Yeah, but yeah, that's just it. So this was January, so it had enough time to fester or whatever. So,
Jesus.
So yeah, when I was at that trade show, I was like, we got back, me and my buddy, that went down, and we're both like, everybody gets sick when they come back from that. Everybody gets cold. It's called namthrax. It's a joke that everybody jokes about. Oh, I got the trade show, but the week after I'm going to have namthrax, so don't schedule me for anything.
That sounds like a really good Anthrax cover band.
Namthrax. I always thought it would be a really good like Anthrax tribute band to have at the NAMM show. Namthrax. And Scott Ian would have to be in the band because you'd have to have at least Scott Ian in the band.
Yeah, because it's kind of like Megadeth. You have to have Scott Ian in order for it to be Anthrax.
Yeah, exactly. It would be one of those things. You know what? I love Anthrax. I love Anthrax very much. I've worked for them a couple times too. They don't. You know what? They were always kind of on the shadows and the heels of like Metallica and stuff like that. In my opinion, they were as good as Metallica. Absolutely.
In my opinion, when it comes to the big four, and I get shit for this, I don't care. It's my opinion. When it comes to the big four being like who's in the better order, in my opinion, it's Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, and then Metallica. And sometimes I switch out Slayer with Anthrax. Sometimes I switch out Anthrax and Slayer. It just depends on my mood.
Yeah. I like Slayer too. I've worked for those guys before too. Slayer's great.
What was that like? I heard Slayer's great.
You know what?
Not to ruin that evil image, but I heard they're great.
Amazing live too.
Man, I've been a Slayer fan for many, many years, obviously. I'm 46 years old.
Did
I have worked for them a couple of them.
Did you work with them with the original guitarist?
No. Jeff Hanneman had already passed. Yeah. I saw Slayer when he was alive. That would have been like 99, I think it was. But I ended up working for them after he passed, and Gary Holt was already in place playing guitar. And there, you know what? All of those guys are just regular dudes. Like Gary Holt's a grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
And you mean when he's playing, you don't think about him being a grandpa. You don't think about that at all.
No, you think this is badass.
You're like, this guy is like, he's gonna come through the barricade and murder everybody and put the blood on his guitar. That's what you think about.
Can we admit for a second, though, when it comes to thrash metal, how amazing it is that the big four, they're all connected in some way. I believe, was it Kirk Hammett that taught Gary Holt how to play, or was it vice versa?
I'm not sure. I don't know the lineage of that stuff, but I know what you're saying, and it is beautiful. And I think a lot of it has to do with that genre blowing up and being from the Bay Area and whatnot, and that being kind of a hub of that.
Is Anthrax in the Bay Area?
I think they're from down there too.
I thought they were
like from New York or something.
They're from New York.
You're right. I think they are from New York. Yeah, they are from New York. But the other guys are Bay Area, right? Yeah, so like a lot of that metal came from Bay Area and New York City, and the two kind of came together.
It's not just the big four, though. If you dig into any thrash band, Exodus and Testament is a prime example. Chuck Billy was the original singer. Chuck Billy was the original singer for fucking Exodus. And no, it was the other way around. It was Zetro was the original singer for Testament. And then Zetro... and they switched places. I'm like, what the fuck?
I did not know that.
Band switched places. Like even, what's his name there? Drums now. He's in Exodus now.
If you say drummer and thrash, I just automatically think Dave Lombardo.
It's not Dave Lombardo. No, I'm drawing.
He's played for He played for every fucking thrash band.
Yeah, no, Dave Lombardo is the thrash king for sure. Gene Hoglan, Jade Hoglan.
Oh, he's another one that's
he was in Testament for a bit, and then he's also in Exodus. He's like played in both at some point. It's crazy. And then of course Bastoff was in Exodus, and now he's in Testament, and now he's in Slayer. In fact, the kit that they used on the last tour is a Yamaha kit, and on the badge it said Bastoff, his name, and Testament on the actual badge. Cool. So it's crazy. Yeah.
You might already know this because you are a Danzig fan, but speaking of bands that have switched members, when Peter Steele died of Typo Negative, Danzig acquired most of Typo Negative in his touring lineup.
Which is funny because Peter Steele was super tall and Danzig's not. And there was a thing. I heard this crazy rumor, and I believe it. I 100% believe it, because this kind of shit happens all the time. There is a height maximum for that band, and it's like something like 2 inches taller than Danzig, or you're not playing.
So barely legally
short.
So barely not a midget. Like I
didn't say it, but yes.
Like who do you think would win in a fight, Dio or Danzig?
You know what? Dio would win simply because of this. I'll tell you this. It's another guy that I worked for. Dio, Ronnie James Dio. We were talking about fanboy moments.
Uh-huh.
My number one fanboy moment where I was like literally in shock and didn't know what to do was when I worked for Heaven and Hell, and Dio was singing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no. Here's the setup. Okay, fancy hotel in Calgary. I show up with my minivan because I was using my own personal van for this show. So I pull up and I butterfly the doors. Everything, the doors are all open, and I'm standing by the door, and one by one they come out. And I'm like, "Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm looking after you today." I was like, "Geezer Butler." I'm like, "Hey."
The fucking heavy metal god.
I'm telling you. Okay, so they all get in the van. And I'm just like, I walk around the van, and then it hit me as I'm turning the corner around the end of the van. holy shit, if I fucking crash, this is like world news. And I have like 7 blocks to go. And I'm just like, I don't think I grabbed that steering wheel nearly that hard in my entire life. I was just like, holy fuck. But got to the venue and it was fine. Everything was fine. And then of course getting to the venue and Ronnie comes over and goes, Jeff, where is my dressing room? And I was just like, Ronnie, I will take you. And it was like one of those moments where it was like in my head, I was just like, there's so many moments where you're talking to these people and you're in such a casual environment and the conversation's, so normal that in your head, your head is just like blowing out the back of it because you're just like, this feels like you're in a dream. It feels like you're in like some kind of like, is this a joke? Like, is this really happening? There's like so many moments like that.
You got to admire Dio because he was larger than life, but yet in reality, he wasn't.
He wasn't, but you know what? He was the most polite person I've ever seen in my life.
That.
He's so nice and very proper. And
I heard that. And the fact is the guy could have talked so much shit because he kept getting fired for Ozzy, but instead he kept his mouth shut and just did his solo stuff.
And his solo stuff was great.
Speaking of Sabbath, you're a Sabbath fan?
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you like the stuff outside of Ozzy and Dio, like Tony Martin, Ian Gillan?
I'm not that deep of a Sabbath fan.
Oh, you should. Tony Martin is.
I should check it out. I really, before I say I'm a Sabbath fan, I really should be doing the homework and digging in for sure. My experience with it is Dio and Ozzy. That's where I.
If you like Dio's era of Sabbath, you would love Tony Martin because he has the same vocal register.
Oh, cool.
Very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar. They're not the same, but they're very similar.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah,
would you like?
I mean, I was exposed mostly to the Ozzy stuff originally, and then kind of got into the Dio stuff later on. But yeah, I do like both for sure.
Am I the only one that thinks that, like, since Dio did Ozzy's eras of Sabbath, shouldn't Sabbath do a tour of Ozzy doing Dio era? I would love to hear him try.
I bet there's like so many. Yeah, I bet you that would not go over well if it was shopped to Ozzy.
Especially Ozzy now. You guys are fired. Let it take you away. If you listen to Foos, drugs rule.
That's pretty accurate. You know what? That's one guy that I have never worked for. I've never worked for Ozzy.
He has the final tour.
Yeah, I know. And it was talked about coming here, and then I haven't heard anything, and then COVID. So who knows? He
announced that he's actually going to do a leg of it, so he might come around there.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to come up to here, but I think he was only playing Edmonton, and that's a different market than I use. So I don't do the Edmonton shows. I go up to Edmonton shows and hang out sometimes, like for Depeche Mode and whatnot when they came through. That was fun.
I admire Ozzy though. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna tour."
I think stuff like that. I think something happens and you get a realization of where you're actually the happiest and where you want to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why that happens. I worked for a guy that you guys may know, Don Williams. Do you know who Don Williams is?
Rings a bell, but I don't know where I know the name from.
Don Williams is an old country guy. Okay, so
that's where
getting into the country that he Tulsa time, living on Tulsa time. Like we're talking like 70s, 80s country. Anyways, to give you an idea, and this is what I honestly think is the reason why Ozzy is touring and stuff like that, is they have a moment in their life where they go like, he was prepared to go and retire. Mm-hmm. Went on tour, came back, and his wife had onset dementia and Alzheimer's. and didn't know who he was anymore. So he was like, oh my God. So he ended up setting her up in a home. And then he was like, he went back on the road, and he literally went on the road almost until the day he died.
Damn.
Yeah. And it's because that's where he felt he should be. That's who he is. It's like,
That makes sense.
It's such a sad story, man. Like, and a lot of people don't realize that whole story. I shouldn't even maybe be talking about it much, other than the fact that my respect for Don Williams is like through the roof, and that is why people who have major illnesses and think that they're on their way out, they want to hit the road because that's where they feel the most alive. That's where they feel like they belong.
That makes a lot of sense, because when I went and saw Ozzy, I saw him on a farewell tour a few times, and he went on stage, and his t-shirt for this tour, this is why I laughed. I didn't laugh at what he said. I laughed at what his t-shirt said. The t-shirt for the tour is No More Tours Part 2. This time I'm not fucking kidding. And I looked up on stage, and Ozzy was saying, I want to clear up the rumors going around. This isn't my final tour. I'm just not going to be doing it all in one go anymore because I'm fucking old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you're not going to ever retire. You're just...
Yeah. You can't retire from what you are and who you are. You can't retire from that. So, I mean,
It's
really, there'll be a change. Like, I'm sure, like, I was having a big conversation about this kind of stuff with a pal the other day. I'm prepared to grow old with music, like playing wise. I've watched my previous 25, 30 years already doing this and the changes that have happened. And I can see now where I'm going to be in the future. And the idea is I'm going to be playing for myself, what fuels me and what brings my heart. It doesn't matter genre. I'm not going to be playing metal probably. I'm not going to be playing punk rock probably. I'll probably slow it down and get more into the country stuff, which
folk.
Folk, yeah. And I have done folk gigs. I played for years in a folk band that toured around a lot.
I admire you because your taste in music is so fucking vast, and so is mine.
Thank you, man. It's like we're kindred spirits that way, man. I tell you.
You should have heard my playlist yesterday, bro. I was playing music real loud at the apartment like I do, and Guar came on. And then next was Snoop Dogg. I think my neighbors are like, what the fuck is going on? Speaking of Snoop, you've done work for Snoop and for Cheech and Chong. That must have been a strong weed smell.
I will tell you two stories, one about Snoop and one about Cheech and Chong. Okay.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
What do you want to hear first? You want to hear Snoop or you want to hear Cheech and Chong?
Which one's the better story? We'll make that one last.
They're both really good.
Okay.
I'll tell the Snoop one first. Okay. So Snoop Dogg, the Saddle Dome, it was like hotboxed. It was like Bone Thugs and Harmony and Warren G and like a bunch of other rap stuff and whatnot. And I'm in the hallway and Snoop's about to go on and he comes out of the dressing room. There's just me in the hallway, him and his three bodyguards, big white dudes. These big mother, they come out, they look right at me as though, I'm a threat. And I'm like, I'm not a threat. Calm down. And they start walking and Snoop just looks over at me and he does this. And right away, I was just like, instantly. And then he started laughing, and that was the only exchange I had the entire day with him. And it was like I could hear him laughing all the way to the stage, and I was just like, that. I was like, to me, that was like better than a conversation because it was like.
I'm wondering what his head was thinking. That white motherfucker.
I'm willing to bet he was probably like, I can't believe he gave me the sign back. That's hilarious.
I love Snoop. He's like the coolest human being. Like him and Steven Tyler.
In my wallet, I carry a dollar bill. It's actually $100 bill, and it says it's a Snoop $100 bill.
It's fucking awesome.
It's like it's got its picture on it, and it comes from the show. Okay, so what they do is they have these dancer girls, and he has like you know how you have a money counter and it flips the money really fast,
Yeah,
really quick.
like make it rain.
He's got that. He's got that, but it's a handheld, and it shoots the money out.
Imagine that guy at a strip club.
This part of the show is like at a strip club because they're on poles and they're doing their dances, and he just walks up and he goes la da 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 and goes whoosh, sprays the money.
You're getting me excited because I'm supposed to see Snoop Dogg in September at a festival.
The best part of it is one of his guys, the guy that's usually dressed like a dog, walks around with a snowblower, like leaf blower thing, and blows the money off the front of the stage.
You know what would make this better? The only thing that would make that better is if the $100 bills also dubbed as rolling papers.
They're a little bit there. Yeah, that would be a great idea. That would that's more just like regular paper money. That would be, that maybe. I think the price would go way up, and he'd be like, "Yeah, that's too expensive. This is already expensive."
Yeah, but he could sell it. He can sell them on his shop.
Oh yeah,
Snoop Dogg rolling papers.
He probably does have Snoop Dogg rolling papers. If he doesn't, then maybe you should send a message. Go, hey man, you need to make rolling papers.
You need to come on Pink Socks so I can.
Where you been? Of course, I've already been doing that. That's more than likely what would happen.
I am a huge Cheech and Chong fan. I have been since I was like 6 years old, so I got to hear the story.
Okay, there's a picture on my Instagram of me holding a Mapex snare. It was a picture that was shot in the back alley of Chinatown, just off of Center Street in Calgary. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, but Cheech and Chong was started here.
Yeah, they're started in Canada. Tommy Chong used to joke because him and Cheech both fled the country during Vietnam, and Chong is like, Cheech is the only Mexican to illegally leave the United States and go to Canada.
There's not very many Mexican people up here, but the people that are Mexican here are great, and some of them have really good food up here too, so that's great.
Mexicans now.
So here's the story. Back alley. Okay, picture this back alley. There's like graffiti everywhere, and we're using this back alley. The photographer is like, we should go down that alley and do some shots there for that snare. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all over it. And then the next week I'm working for Cheech and Chong, and we're driving up Center Street, and Chong is like, hey, there's the building. And I'm like, he goes, that's the first place I ever smoked weed. And I was like, what? That is where? And then of course I was like, I just took a bunch of pictures in that alley, literally 2 days ago. So that's my. I thought that was pretty heartwarming that you shared that. We also, on the way to the venue, which was also past his high school that he went to, what's it called? Crescent Heights. We drove past Crescent Heights, and that's where he went to high school. So it was a beautiful moment with Cheech and Tommy, and his wife was there, and Paris, his son, as well, who's his PA. His PA is Paris. So Paris Chung. So it looks just like him too. It's crazy.
Like Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke looking. Like he looks like Chong from that era.
He looks like a 40s, in his 40s, Tommy Chong. Yeah.
So that was around the time when he started blowing up.
Yeah, when he was really blowing up, for sure.
That kind of makes me feel great about me not like really blowing up yet, because Cheech and Chong didn't start becoming famous till they're in their 40s.
There you go. Yeah. You're what? How old are you? You're 29.
28.
29. 19. 28. 28.
Oh
yeah, you got time, man. You got time.
I love time. I love Cheech and Chong, and I love Tommy because he's funny without meaning to.
He's natural. He's natural. And you know what? He's a real dude. Like, he's a super awesome guy. Both of those guys are amazing. Really appreciative, and they know where they're at, and they know how grateful to be and how to show their gratuity to people that they're with.
They
I mean,
also
they were super friendly to me and super nice. So
they
it
also
was a
had
beautiful.
they also had the balls during the beginning of the drug like war to make a movie
Yeah.
about how good marijuana is and the government's lying to you. So we're going to show you how we actually act and how it actually reacts to you.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, during their set that they do, Tommy goes into a bit of a monologue and talks about how it saved his life.
Mhm.
He had cancer and he does no longer have cancer, and he didn't go through all the other crap. He just did the medicinal
Mhm.
marijuana route, and
Rick
it was
Simpson
fine.
oil.
Yeah, it's
He
beautiful.
he said in an interview he was on the news and they're like, "You have cancer." He's like, "I had cancer, man." And they're like, "Had cancer?" He's like, "I got rid of it, man, with the Rick Simpson oil, man." And the interviewer, I guess, after that news interview, this could be false, I could be wrong, but I read somewhere that Tommy was no longer welcome back on that news show because he didn't use
I can see that.
chemotherapy
I can
because
see that 100%.
big pharma pays for that news company.
How big pharma pays for everything. I
Yep.
shouldn't say that too loud.
They don't pay me. Wait, we're getting paid? So did you
Anyway,
know?
I'll stay away from the big pharma conversation.
I'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, this could be false too, but I believe it because it is Tommy Chong. When he did that 70s show, he didn't really
Yeah.
have a script.
I
They
can
just
see that,
they just had the scene and they're like, Leo is going to enter here and you just say whatever you want to say because nobody else can play you.
because you're right. You can't write Tommy Chong. You can't.
No. And it's funny, he plays the same character and everything, but it fucking works.
That's because it's him. He's him. It's
Yeah.
it's the character is not a character so much as it is him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's little embellishments to make it a character, but I mean, the core of it, I think, is fully him. Just from conversations I've had with him, he is like, that is what you see is what you get, and he's a real dude, and he's rad.
Well, I read somewhere it was an actual interview with Tommy. He said in this interview, he's like, "I'm not an actor, man." He's like, "I've never claimed to be."
Yeah.
He just
he was
goes
originally a musician.
He played with a band for I believe 4 years in Motown, for Motown Records.
Yeah.
Did he tell you the story? I don't know what your communication was like with him, but did he ever tell you the story about when he played with Jimi Hendrix?
No, we didn't get into that. I know about that, but we didn't get into that.
Yeah, he played with Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, correct. Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong sat down with Jimi Hendrix. And
cool. That's fucking badass.
That is
the way he described it is, he said the doors opened and the light shined on him, and it was like an angel had entered the room.
Meanwhile, it's just the backlight, probably in a hallway with the lights too bright, and he's like, "Open the door."
I do have a really interesting question because I see like Cheech and Chong on here and all these other people. Larry the Cable Guy, is he in character all the time? Because I know that's a character.
Yeah, I would say probably a little bit. There's a little bit of always. I mean, he's naturally, as a comedian and as a character comedian, he's not always 100% in his character, but 90% of the time he is. And it feels like that would be a very easy slip into being a full-time thing for him, for sure.
It's weird because like he is a lot of people don't realize this. He is a character comedian. That's not him.
Yeah.
He's actually from, if I'm not mistaken, New York, and he just decided, hey, I'm going to like create this Southern character because I lived in the South for a while with family. So I'm going to create this Southern character and maybe draw in the Southern crowd.
Basically, when he got off the bus, he was primarily, I think that was his difference. When he gets off the bus, that was his, when you do your makeup for Alice, it's when he does his makeup, and once the makeup's on, he's Alice. Same kind of thing, I think, with him. I mean, I don't had a lot of experience with him. I did a couple shows with him, but I will tell you this: he told me a hilarious joke, and I didn't even know what to think of it when he said it. He leans in, and we were out for drinks in Lethbridge, Alberta, after a gig, And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to tell you some advice." And I'm like, "Okay." My grandpa told me this. I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "Never trust a fart, never waste a heart." And I was just like, "What?" He goes, "I'm going to get a drink." And he took off to get a drink.
I should get that tattooed.
Bizarre.
You're gonna have a bunch of girls with like tramp stamps of never trust a fart, never waste a hard on.
That should be a shirt. Like, I swear you should make that into a shirt. Never trust a fart, never waste.
Doesn't that sound like the lyrics of a Guar song?
It probably is. It probably is. Maybe he was just quoting Guar. That does totally sound like Guar.
By the way, Grack, I see Grax in the comment section. You can talk.
He's like the mute on the program, just sitting there.
You know Jay and Silent Bob. He's my Silent Bob.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I can see it.
I'm the guy that just chills.
Rap? That means you got to rap and have some kind of crazy crazy advice on how to be the man with the women, according to.
Sometimes I'm getting there. Sometimes I tuck it between my legs.
That's awful. Awful.
Have you seen the new Jay and Silent Bob?
I haven't. No, but I know that Silent Bob has lost a ton of weight. So does it even look right, or does it look weird?
It looks all right. I think they touch on it a little bit on the show and the movie about why he lost weight and shit. Because I think they made some kind of joke that like pussy don't have as much calories as it used to, or some shit.
He was for health reasons.
What?
And he went full vegan.
Yeah, he had a heart problem.
Oh,
I knew
that was the case, but I wondered how they were going to address that in the the movie, considering the difference between the two movies.
Yeah, it's really good fucking movie. Like, they actually touch on the whole. They touch on the whole joke. They're like, who the fuck would pay for a reboot, a remake, or even a sequel? And they both look into the camera. Like they did in the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I read somewhere that Kevin is planning on making a new Clerks, and he's planning on making a new, I forget what the other movie is he plans on making, because he plans on retiring from directing.
I could see that. I mean, he's been doing it a long time. He probably was tired of doing it. But those movies, I always kind of cringe when I see somebody talk of changing a classic and redoing a classic. I always think it's a dangerous, slippery slope. It could go really wrong. It could be good, and then you got the people that haven't seen the original, and then they like the new one, and then they don't realize that the original is so much better.
Right? That's like I went and saw Child's Play. Child's Play, and as a fan of Child's Play, that's a steaming hot piece of garbage. But for like somebody who just
very terrible.
Now, for somebody who has just now watched it for the first time, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I heard that about Pet Sematary too, and the new Pet Sematary isn't as good as the original.
Well, what upsets me is I'm a huge Mark Hamill fan, and he voiced Chucky, and I'm like, dude, you could have done so much better with movie choices.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah.
Have you worked with any other comedians? I'm a big comedy guy. Like, was there any that you worked
comedians? Well, Dane Cook was the opener on that Runners Dates. But that's the only comedians I've worked with. Yeah, I don't work with comedians very often, and that was like, I want to say 2005, 2004. Like, it was a long time ago.
Comedians don't have drummers, so I understand.
Well, they hired me like on that gig with Larry David. I wish it was with Larry David. Larry, the cable guy. Larry David, if you're watching, just call me. I'll totally work for you in a hot minute. Absolutely.
Larry David is like Bernie Sanders, but without the political background.
You know what? Time for another story. It's time for another story.
Okay. Story time.
Did you know you're gonna have to do a little digging on this. This
Oh,
is a
I've
challenge.
heard this. I know what you're going to say, and I know
What are you
this.
gonna?
Yeah,
what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? Tell me what I'm.
Bernie
gonna say.
Sanders and Larry David, when Larry David started the Bernie Sanders impersonation, he did not realize this. But later on, they did a DNA test, and they are actually like fifth cousins.
That's not the story I was gonna go with, but that's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're actually related.
That's pretty good. You guys know the band Loverboy?
Loverboy, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the guitar player in Loverboy.
Is that how they play it?
Current. Everybody's working for the weekend.
That's a ukulele.
No. It was a hammer-ons. These are hammer-ons.
Oh, okay.
Hammer-ons. Van Halen. You know Van Halen, right? You heard of Van
Yeah.
Halen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you hammer-ons.
Who doesn't know?
So Larry David and Paul Dean. Paul Dean is a guitar player from Loverboy.
I thought you said Paula Dean.
No, Paul Dean. He looks exactly the same. They look like the same dudes. Like, it is crazy. And I pointed out, like, Paul Dean used to live in Calgary for a while, and he used to come into the shop that I used to run, and he would like play guitar and whatnot. He'd be hanging out in the shop, playing guitar and trying out amps and whatnot. And I used to bring kids in that were looking for guitar amps, like metalhead kids would come in. I'm like, all right, you want to try this guitar amp here by this old man? Because he's a buddy. So I used to go, yeah, Paul Dean over here, this old man. You can sit beside this old man and play. And they go, everybody's working for the weekend here today. It's Friday, and tomorrow's Saturday, and Sunday I'm working all weekend. Everybody's working for the weekend. There you go, Paul Dean. So I plugged the kid in. He doesn't know who he's sitting beside at all. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Paul's looking at me like, you motherfucker. I love that guy. I miss him very much. He moved to Vancouver, so I haven't seen him in quite a while. But yeah, I used to run into him at Home Depot even, It's like, that's how regular Joe Paul Dean is from Loverboy.
Since you have that story, I have a very similar story that you might laugh at because I thought it was fucking hilarious. I took a buddy of mine to go see Alice Cooper, and Ryan was going to the merch booth just to hang out like he normally does. And I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I'm going to meet you at the merch booth. I'm going to go grab some food. He's like, okay, cool, whatever. I get there with a friend of mine, and this friend of mine is not familiar with who is in Alice's band. So I didn't tell them. I'm like, I'm meeting up with a friend. Do you want to come with me? They're like, yeah, sure. So it's me, Ryan, some other people that was there because he puts it up on his Instagram. And my friend is like, where are you from? And Ryan answered him, and he's like, he said California, but he's actually living in Sweden right now. Yeah. But my buddy's like, have you seen Alice before? And Ryan's like, a few times, yeah. And we were all talking. I was at Stage AE, and that's in Pittsburgh. It's a general admission. So me and my friend left. We stood at the very front on the rail. We stood there. Alice's band came out, and Ryan ran up and fist bumped me. And my buddy's like, you motherfucker.
That's pretty funny. I had a similar situation at the trade show one year. It was one of the guitar players from Twisted Sister and Carrie King. And there's a picture on my Instagram, and I'm holding up a name tag. And I don't think you can zoom in enough to see what the name tag is. JJ French was there with the other guy from Twisted Sister, but I didn't recognize him because he was like, he didn't look like JJ French to me. So I was just like, hey man, can you take a picture of us? And he gave me my phone to take this picture. And he was like, he goes, I'll take the picture, but you got to hold up the name tag. I'm like, and I'm like, looking at the name, and like, you got to be kidding me. Oh, fuck. So I'm holding the tag up. So there's a picture on my Instagram of that. And it's like Carrie King giving the finger, and Eddie from Twisted Sister, and then me holding JJ French's pass.
Because he's taking the picture.
Like, oh shit, yeah. And he's taking the picture. You thought it was funny. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm like a massive Twisted Sister fan.
Me too. Not a lot of people exist anymore.
Oh man. Because nobody for a long time wanted to admit it. Nobody wanted to admit it. Nobody likes hair metal for a while.
Well, even then, they're not even They're not even hair
Twisted
metal.
Sister was the greatest, man.
I wouldn't even
Dee
consider them
Snider?
hair. I wouldn't even consider them hair metal or even glam. They were just a metal band that wore makeup.
Yeah,
Uh,
fully. I mean, The Price. You listen to that song. That's heavy as shit.
Yeah.
All their songs were heavy as shit.
Go to
Except
hell.
for the Christmas album, though. The Christmas album, I think, was maybe a bit of a stretch. Not gonna lie, the Christmas album is a bit of a stretch. Have you heard the
There's
Christmas
some-
album?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Oh, my heavy metal Christmas, my true love gave to me.
Oh yeah, and every song is literally a remake of like all their songs, just changed to Christmas songs. The total
Didn't
cash
Dave
grab.
Snyder
Fucking
do
brilliant.
one on his own as well?
Who?
Dave Snyder, didn't he do one on his own?
No, he
as
didn't
well?
do his own Christmas album, but he did release a
Oh.
solo album recently.
Yeah,
That was
he
like
released
a
a solo album.
it was a
Yeah.
thrash metal fucking album, and it was produced by the guitarist of Hatebreed.
Oh yeah, wow.
You know how the album
Rain or
started?
something.
You know how the album
How?
started?
How's
Dee
that?
Snider was about ready to announce his retirement from touring, and the guitarist of Hatebreed is like, "I bet you can't create. I bet you can't produce and release a current metal type album." And Dee Snider's like, "You're fucking on if you produce it." So he accepted his challenge and released a thrash metal album.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean that guy's a brilliant marketing guy, and he also knows what he can do. And I think he's another one of those guys that doesn't have the same accolades that maybe he should.
Oh, we're getting close to the hour mark, but there was a story you wanted to tell. So not to interrupt what you were saying, you said you had a Motley Crue story you wanted to share.
Oh, yeah, there's a Motley Crue story. I was on the Carnival Sins dates. I did like 9 Carnival of Sin dates, which is like for a local person to do 9 of that is insane because it just kept circling around and circling around. It was like never ending down the toilet bowl kind of thing. Just wasn't flushing. It was just going and going.
That's the perfect way to describe Motley Crue.
You know what? I love Motley Crue. And I know why they're doing this, and I get it. So here's the story. On the back of that stage, there's a huge tent, and then we had a dressing room on the left and a dressing room on the right, and they were like tents that we could do quick changes. So the person who was looking after wardrobe, Renee, would be up there and helping them change into their quick change things and whatever. And when they were taking a break, having a drink of water or have some oxygen, because that's a thing now with a lot of these rock bands. They'll have like an oxygen station
or a sip of whiskey.
You know what? Most of the shows are dry. I'm totally letting the cat out of the bag on this. Most of the big tours, you don't see booze that much on stage or on the bus or anything like that. Everything's pretty dry because you can't maintain a 90-day run of shows with like a day off every 5 or 6 and do that every night. Your body can't do it. Most of these people are big into health, and what they'll do is they have like a dietitian usually on their tour, and they'll have and like an athletic person to go through like I don't know what they call it, kinesiologists. Maybe that's a good way to put it. A kinesiologist that they would have on tour with them to run them through their warm-ups and physical demands, because a lot of those gigs are such a high level performance that you can't go and get loaded after the gig, because if you do that, the next gig you're dying on stage. Dying. So,
but sorry for interrupting. Finish your story.
Oh, one of the biggest things you find on riders is Pedialyte. Did you guys know? You guys know what Pedialyte is?
Yeah, it helps you maintain your. I forget what the word is, but electrolytes. It helps you.
Yeah, it's an electrolytes trick. A lot of bands travel with that kind of stuff on there because you do get so dehydrated from performing and sweating, and if you drink it all, that's how it goes.
I'm currently living in Arizona. I know what Pedialyte is.
Oh yeah, you guys drink that. You drink that as like water. It comes out of the taps probably. Yeah.
I'm like, this water tastes funny. Oh, that's Pedialyte coming out of your tap water.
It's orange. It tastes kind of orangey, but not. I don't know. Different.
I think
So getting back to the Motley Crue story. So at the end of the show, we pull everything off the back of the stage. We pull open this curtain, and the stage comes up to about chest level. So you there's a lot of exposed area below you, and there's a curtain around the stage. And so I mean, I'm reaching up there to grab stuff to put in a bin that's beside me, like one of those big, 4 foot hamper type things on wheels, and we're pulling things off the stage. And I'm getting this stuff. Meanwhile, there's like pyro going off because it was like Kickstart Your Heart, I think, or whatever the last song was. I think it was Kickstart Your Heart. So it was like the boom, boom, and then pyro, and then shit coming off the back of the stage, and we're throwing it in this bin really fast because we want to get this all off there so that we can get most of that ready for the teardown that'll happen after that song. So it's a prep for the out. So I'm pulling things and putting them down, and I feel this grab on my leg, like the middle of my thigh, and there's like I'm like right against the edge of the stage, and it's DJ Ashba grabbed my leg, and he was doing like some backup guitar parts for that. I can't talk about more than that part, but DJ Ashba grabbed my leg and scared the shit out of me. There's the story.
DJ Ashba is the one that pretty much wrote Saints of Los Angeles. Like he was 6 a.m. was a band before they were a band. They just had Vince Neil singing.
Yeah, exactly. It was basically the Vince Neil band. Yeah, exactly.
So as a Motley Crue fan, you can cut off whenever you want, but I have one question though with Motley Crue. John Corabi, thoughts? That's my favorite album by them.
I like the original lineup. I'm an original.
What do you think of the Vince Neil stuff nowadays? If you want to comment on that, him canceling shows, he can't do a whole show right now, and he's still supposed to do the stadium tour.
It made me really sad to see that stuff and how he's getting lambasted, simply for the fact of, if you flip it around, how would you feel building a career and now you can't be as strong as you were and what everybody's expecting you to be? That's the biggest problem that I find with music nowadays, is everybody's looking for that awesome final proper mix. Everything sounds amazing. There's no deviation from the songs from the CDs. I don't like that. I think it's a crock of shit. I think it's a total crock of shit when you see a band come out and every note is exactly the same as the record, and then you see a couple of shows in a row. And I've been in a situation like this where I do multiple shows in a row. I won't tell you the name of the band because it'll give it away.
Kiss. I mean,
no. I've only done one Kiss show, and I was working for the Cult on that, and it was one of the best days of my life. Gotta say, Ian Asbury, love that guy. Anyways, every single show was down to the mark on the stage as to where the bass player was, where the guitar player was, where the singer was, what they say into the microphone in between the songs. And I lose. It's like you've seen The Wizard. The Wizard of Oz, when they pull the thing back and there's the wizard, and you're like, oh, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
The first time that ever happened to me, it made me very disillusioned with the entire thing. And then I worked for other bands where it was every night was different, and I was like, I clung on to that with my nails dug in hopes that that's where the rest of music is gonna go, because we're human beings. It should be different every night. It
should be different every day. Just my one gripe about the whole Motley Crue thing that I've always had is, like, you're going to charge people all this money for this upcoming stadium tour, and Vince can't even do a solo show all the way through anymore. Like, I get it's upsetting. I get that it would be upsetting to him, but are you really going to put your fans through that if you cannot physically perform anymore?
You see, and I feel for the spot that they're in where they don't want to give up. I also feel for the spot that they're in where they're like, this is their livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah, but
when you
Vince
go
is
see
supposed
a
to be in.
Motley Crue, when you go see a Motley Crue show, it used to be for a while it was a more of a spectacle than anything.
Mhm.
And maybe that's what it should be kind of billed at, more of the Motley Crue spectacle rather than Vince Neil's not singing. Because I mean,
Mhm.
he he should retire if he can't keep up, and it's really hard, man. That would be really hard to make that call. I
I,
feel for him.
I
Man. I
get
feel
that
for
it's hard. I do see from your point of view, but what I'm saying is like these stadium tickets are not cheap.
Oh, I know.
Like, and if you're gonna
That's
charge your
canceled now.
if you're gonna charge your fans that much, sorry, Greg, I'll let you
No,
finish
you're right.
after I finish my thought because it's right here and it'll leave if I don't. Um, the thing is like the performance is great musically, like instrumentally, but like Vince Neil is supposed to be getting in shape. He's supposed to be taking it seriously. And judging by some of his performances, he's not taking it seriously. He's forgetting lyrics. He's not ready. He's ill prepared. He had to have a lyric sheet on the floor for Helter Skelter. And he still didn't read the goddamn lyric sheet. He just went, yeah, man, and then like, if
Yeah, I mean, getting into teleprompter stuff and
I'd rather
doing
that than not remember.
that's well, that is a different skill set, and if you've never used one before, it's like reading sheet music on stage.
Mhm.
If you've never read sheet music and played as you're playing, like actual sight reading and playing, using a prompter as a singer, I judging just on what I've seen about it, that is that's a whole other skill set. And I mean, if you, it
Mhm.
takes years to get to that point where you can use them and use them effectively. So using it as a tool the way that they're using it in the situation you're talking about, to me, it's like you putting a band-aid on an open wound. It's not enough. You need support around it and preparedness, and like you're saying, that you feel like he's not taking it serious. And I don't know, I haven't worked for that camp for several years, but I will say this: I know that it's probably killing him inside that he can't perform at the level that he wants to,
Mhm.
and that's all I can really say about it. Really,
Like,
I feel for him. It sucks.
I feel for him too, but you got to look at the fan side of things too.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the money wise, as far as ticket prices go, uh, I'll give you a breakdown of roughly what the average amount of staffing is on a concert.
mhm.
So say let's go extreme, and we'll go say Katy Perry. Katy Perry's last tour that she came through here, Prism. I know you're laughing at it, but this is a good
No, no,
example.
I'm not laughing because Katy Perry. We went from
Oh,
Motley
I
Crue
know.
to Katy Perry.
Oh man, that's only the big. You ever heard of the Wiggles? I worked for
Oh
the
my
Wiggles
God,
too. Yeah,
they're
man.
brutal. I was the mosh pits.
They were really short. They were really short mosh pits. I got to drive their buggy though. They have like a dune buggy, and I drove it in the back of the
The big red
stage.
car.
That the
Big
little
red car.
Yeah, they're like, you want to drive it? I'm like, what do you mean? Do I want to? I was gonna wait until you said, where are we going? Yeah, no, yeah. So I mean, my gamut is pretty wide, but when it comes to the Katy Perry show, that kind of thing, there was 20 buses on that show. So
Jesus.
ticket prices have to pay for 20 buses worth of a day's use. So when you think about that, there's 20 buses. Okay, so there's usually about 12 to 14 people per bus. So 20 buses. This is not counting local crew. Local crew on a day could anywhere be from 50 people to 120, depending on the size of the show. So that's how many people are involved on one day. So ticket prices have to somehow, a portion of each one goes into paying that, and then paying the artist, and then paying the promoter, and then paying the insurance, and then paying the. There is so much money involved that needs to go to make a tour happen. So ticket prices are really hard to argue about, because yeah, they feel like they're a lot of money, but really, when you break it down, it's not as much as it could be if it was really aggressively attacked.
Plus the fact that bands don't make money off their music anymore.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, this is 100% how people make their living.
Did you hear what Gary Holt said about this?
No, I didn't.
Gary Holt said that he's just a glorified traveling T-shirt salesman.
You know what? 100%. You know what? You know why he gets that? Because he understands the business, and that man is really smart. 100%. All you're doing at the end of the day is selling a product. It's 100% sales. Music is 100% sales, and it boils down to: are you marketable? Are a lot of people gonna buy your stuff? And same with getting into like endorsement stuff. Like when I play for Mapex and Remo and stuff like that, I am brought on to be an ambassador of sales. I know that personally. Whenever you're seeing a band and they're using a gear piece, they have been brought into the fold as an ambassador of sales. Maybe not a hardcore salesperson, but an ambassador of sales. So he's right. Selling shirts. Man.
Back on the whole, before we call this quits and start doing promotional side of things for you. Speaking of the teleprompter thing, back on that, it is a set scale. Ozzy Osbourne's been using one, and he can't even read. How's that for talent? I don't know. How's that for talent?
I've seen them used really, really well and strategic that people don't even realize there's a prompter involved. And like, I didn't even realize there was a prompter until you see the person in the back who is operating the prompter, because it's a person that operates it to move it up as it's going. Because if there's if they're slowing the song down, like their vocal presentation isn't quite as matching the music, so they don't want it on a click. They need it to have a manual, or if they want to redo a part or whatever, they can operate it that way. I don't know what to say about the Aussie thing, but yeah, you're right. He
Is it pictures?
English clearly.
Is it like pictures?
No, it's like literally words, like script.
No, but for Ozzy, he can't read. Does he have pictures?
Oh, I don't know.
Whenever I saw Ozzy, I actually did notice he looked at the teleprompter once, but he does it smart. Whenever he's doing his headbanging on stage, he's actually looking down at the teleprompter to know what the next words are.
Yep, that's a common thing. Yeah, a lot of times the teleprompter will be buried in the stage. So here's the monitor, and it's behind the monitor, and it'll be like lowered into the stage, so you don't actually see it. So yeah, and usually it's the size of like maybe the size of a tablet, screen wise. Yeah.
And in the chat, we have Kanak. If you ever get a chance, Jeff, check out the Voice It show, Funky TV.
Yeah. Right on. We'll get them there. Send me a message.
Will do. I'll send you a message. So is there any shows, because you said you have a show tonight, do you have anything you want to promote? This is your floor.
Tonight I'm doing like just a live it's a live stream gig it's a fill-in gig. I've never played with these guys before, and it's country, so it's going to be interesting. It's the shop _shop_live, I think it is, or shop_live on Instagram, and then it comes on their Facebook feed that they're doing it. So it's cool. It's something. I'm just glad to be playing drums. Like straight up, I'm so glad to be playing with other human beings. I've been playing
after COVID
in my studio and doing stuff with Oxtrain, writing stuff and trading songs back and forth with Europe, and preparing to write a full record with those guys. But man, playing physically in the room and having that energy and that vibe and eye contact and watching play and actually seeing the hands on the fretboards, man, I'm telling you, I've missed that shit so much. It's crazy. And today is going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. My soul needs it.
I wish you the best of luck on the show. I haven't been to shows in so damn long. Like I used to do like the media side of things. Like I would like review the shows. I would interview bands and shit. And I went from going to a show, at least one show a week, to nothing. I'm like, what the fuck happened?
I hear you, man. I hear you. Like, Yeah, it dropped off completely. I had during the actual COVID part, in September, I had 4 dates with production gigs, and that was like a couple of country gigs. And other than that, it's been bleak. I mean, there's Stampedas happening here in a week and a bit, and there's some production gigs possibly coming down the pipe, but it's so slow to hit my side of things because budget wise, my budget to have me on a show it means it's a larger budget because I'm expendable when it comes down to when they do cuts. My job essentially is one of the things that would be cut because do you need somebody looking after you all day? No, you don't. You don't. But you want to because it'll go easier. And they're like, you know what, whatever we can do to cut costs and whatever. And that's where I've been hit a little bit on that.
And
a lot of musicians, back, man.
And a lot of musicians just have like their wives take care of them, or like their kids take care of them. They don't necessarily have somebody else doing it anymore.
Yeah, well, there's a flip side on that too. I mean, because I am not in that circle, when they want to bounce something off me and they want brutal honesty, I'm the guy they can do. They, they're not going to ask their wife, does this look stupid? Am I current? Do I look okay? And, and I'll be like, I've been brought in those kind of questions before. Hey man, what do you think of this? Can I bounce something off you? This is what we're thinking. And you get put in those positions, and those positions are always like, you've reached a point of comfort and a point of reliability when they start asking you those kinds of questions, because that's not something they're going to ask the general public.
Yeah, because when you make it a certain amount of big, you just have a bunch of yes men, and you don't like.
That's a big problem in our industry for sure.
And you need somebody. You need somebody who's like, hey, you sucked last night. You need to work on this, this, and this.
I call it the leveler. You need the leveler, and I've been that before. In situations where you have to be real, and you know what? At first, it's kind of scary, and you want to be a yes man because you want to make them happy, but in the end, they want you to be honest, and they want you to be real, and they want to be treated well, and they want to be treated right. And all of that comes down to being real. So
I think the human psyche.
Yeah,
I think the human psyche is the reason why people are yes men, because they don't want to end up not the person hating them. They don't want that. They don't want to ruin their job or whatever. So they just say yes to everything when you can't.
Exactly. I'm going to tell you one quick story, and then we're going to wrap her up. But
all right,
this one's a good one. I was working for Billy Joel. You know who Billy Joel is? Like the piano.
Fuck yeah. Piano man.
So I'm in the office and I'm talking to Boomer, who's his tour manager, and it was just basically going straight off of Boomer on that day. There wasn't a production assistant. I was the production assistant and the runner and the guy looking after them, period. So we're in the office. I'm talking to Boomer. Boomer, in his own right, is a huge legend. He was still is the tour manager for Bruce Springsteen. So this guy is a legend. I already knew who he was before I met him. And when I met him, I was just like, wow, you are like where I want to be eventually. That he's like the benchmark for that. This older gentleman comes in and he starts talking to me, and I'm like, just chatting. And I had a Mapex jacket on, and he's like, oh, Mapex. Yeah. My friend Liberty uses that drum company. I'm like, cool. I'm like, hi, I'm Jeff. Just being nice, friendly. Hi, I'm Billy.
I fucking know.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know it was him. I hadn't seen any pictures that were current. I hadn't seen him yet. I wasn't introduced to him yet. And this was our interaction. And I guess the look on my face was like, because the last time I saw any Billy was like, we're talking Uptown Girls, like 1980, whatever the hell. So in my head, it probably looks like that. Doesn't look like anything like that. So 10 minutes later, he gets up on the stage. The band's playing. He stops the band. He goes, hi, I'm Billy Joel's dad. I was like mortified. I was absolutely mortified because I was like, oh shit, did I? And the whole time I was like feeling super bad about it. I go back into the production office and Boomer goes, did you like that? I'm like, he thought it was funny. I right away, I felt like I'd done something horrible. Like I wrecked his day, absolutely wrecked his day because the way I must have reacted to him. So now I'm very cautious of knowing who I'm working for 100% of the time. I look for the most accurate picture. If I could find a picture that was posted the day before, I'm going to fucking find it. And I'm going to make sure that I know my eyes know who I'm talking to. So I'm never in that position again. Because it was both embarrassing and hilarious all at the same time, and in the end, Boomer told me no, he thought it was funny. I'm like, okay, we're good. But yeah, situations like that pop up too. So you got to know who you're working for. That's the biggest thing.
Google's your best friend. Google is your best 100%. Friend.
Google is my best friend. I use Google for everything in this job. You're looking for the restaurant that they want some kind of food. You're looking on Google trying to figure out where the hell is something similar to that, because you're catering to what they want. So yeah, Google is number one.
I have a video I have to send you of Billy Joel because I found it and I thought it was hilarious. It's Billy Joel performing, I think, Uptown Girl, and he starts crowd surfing. Like he's at like a rock show, like a heavy rock show. Like he's just sitting there crowd surfing, Uptown Girl. And he doesn't miss a beat. He's like still singing as he's crowd surfing.
He's awesome, man. Yeah,
but
he tours with goals in mind. Like he doesn't tour unless he has something he wants. He sets a goal and then he tours to attain that goal. It's something. The one that I worked on, it was to get a yacht. So he wanted to tour X amount of days to add up to the price of a yacht. So, I mean, who doesn't do that? I mean, that's why I work every day, is to make sure that I have enough money for bills and stuff. Instead, this guy's doing it different. He goes, I want this, so I'm going to do boom, 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 boom to get that. It's brilliant.
I'm pretty sure the reason why he does that, though, is because his bills are already paid with royalty checks.
Gravy. It's gravy. Gravy. Absolutely gravy.
But check out Jeff Towers on Instagram at Jeff_Towers YYC, and check out Bad Habits at Bad Habits YYC. And if you're in Canada, if you're in Canada, check out the show that he's going to be at. He has it on his Instagram, right?
Yeah. All over the place for that show tonight. It'll be on my Instagram. I'll put a post a link. Yeah, absolutely.
And we have a lot more stories to tell, so let's bring you on here more. Let's make this
I'm down. Thanks for having me. This is great. I never get to talk about this stuff, so this is the first time I've ever done a podcast where I'm actually talking about my experiences. So this is
that's why
feels my heart. Feels good.
That's why I made this, so that people can actually talk about things instead of part two. Naomi, we're talking about a part 2, part 3. We're gonna bring them on once a month. We're just gonna have Pink Sock presents Jeff Towers story time.
Yeah, it's going to be like a once a month guest.
You better look out, Jeff Towers, because the Doof Warrior was a once a month guest and now he's a co-host. So I'd look out.
And it's almost 4:30 in the morning now. So there you go.
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you, Jeff. I'm going to hit you up on Instagram. I'll send you the YouTube link if you want to promote this more, and I will send you that. I will show you that Billy Joel video.
Awesome.
That's Jeff Towers. Everybody go check him out. Bad Habits is a great punk band, and I hope they tour soon because I'd love to see them.
We're not really a touring type band, but we do a lot of stuff online. So
let me dream.
It's there. If you ever come down, we will. You'll know. You'll know.
You will know. Go follow Jeff Towers because we know where you live. So if you don't follow him,
you will lay the smack down.
And go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And remember, live long, rock hard.